Hello, welcome back. Happy New Year. I know one went out on New Year's Day, but just bear with me. Alright, pour myself a drink. Bit of whiskey. Jameson's, for anybody that wants to buy me a bottle. That's the one. Jura's nice. Taliska's pretty good. But anyway, salute. Just me on my own, drinking a bit of whiskey. Oh fuck it, that is nice. That is good shit. What a wild salmon. Right. New year, new me. Are you a new year, new me person? I know we all take the piss. But it doesn't really matter. You can be if you want to be. I'm a little bit. Generally you'll find me mad, frantic, panic mid-December because I'm like, shit, all the things I wanted to do or all the things I want to do next year, I start them in December because I don't want to be that new year, new me person. So it's like I'm a mad rush in December to start the next thing and finish the thing I said I would finish because I don't want to be that person. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think human beings like to have I don't know what you want to call it. We like to have a thing where it's a marked end of one period and a clear start to a new period. So if you've had a real run of shit, it's like, cool, draw a line in the sand, and as of that day, we leave that shit behind us, and we go forward into the next life stuff, and it's going to be better. Or, we've had a really good year, and we have like an end point that we can go, you know what, fuck it, that was the best year ever. Otherwise it all just blends in forever, and it's like, you imagine if we celebrated New Year every 5 years, the average would just be the same every time, wouldn't it? Because you have one good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year. So I think it's a good thing. So if you're someone that is very much new year, new me, well, fuck it, embrace it. It's good to have a little bit of a thing. I personally, I quite like to kind of use it as an excuse to take stock a little bit. You know, what money have I got in the bank? What sort of shape am I in? Physically and mentally. What do I want to do differently next year? What do I want to do the same? Yeah, I kind of have a little reflection period, a little like, right, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. How can I do that? What did I do right this year? What did I definitely do wrong this year? What do I want to do more of? What do I want to do less of? So I was just looking at my notes. I generally make notes on my phone, so I can look back through the last few years and just say, oh, right, that's what I wanted to do. So my notes for 2023, start a podcast, launch a YouTube channel, steady income from an online business, that didn't really work, some cash in the bank, no better off than I was before, but then I've done different shit, better quality time at home, and get into healthy shape and diet routine. That were my targets for 23. Well, started that. YouTube, had a go at it. Turns out my laptop is shit, so I can't edit anything until I get a better laptop. A better laptop requires more money, but I've got a whole load of other things I want to do before I want to buy a new laptop. So, that's why I'm a bit of a stalemate on that one. Cash in the bank, well, no better off, no worse off. Better quality time at home. I think I've managed to do better. It's tricky because we've got a kid. It just changes. So it's like you can have when you've got like a younger, like a 0 to 18 months kid, you can actually do quite a lot in a weird way because they're not quite so argumentative and bloody difficult. Whereas this summer, Ern's been 2, so it's like going anywhere and doing anything is draining because he just wants to fight and argue. And literally since Christmas, he's got this like answering back about him. So now you say like, oh, can we not do that now? And he just looks at you like death stare, points at you, no! And I can't keep a straight face. As much as I try to stay like stern with it, it cracks me up every time. So I end up just staring at the floor, cracking up laughing. So I need to work on that one. Get into a healthy shape and diet routine. Well, I quite proudly say actually I nailed it. I know I'm sat here with a glass of whiskey now, but I think physically and mentally I'm probably in the best shape I've ever been as an adult. And alright, for some of you lot out there that are fitnessy or gym or whatever, you probably won't look at me and go, fucking hell, that's good shape, is it? But for me, I don't think I've been in better. I do put a lot of that down to jiu-jitsu, sort of squaring me up quite nicely. My mental state's just sort of, through working on it anyway, it's just improved. And my diet's pretty damn good. Christmas has been a bit of a spanner in the works, but even to be fair, this Christmas has been a better one over the last few years. Just none of us have been really that interested in stuffing our faces with shit, so it's been a relatively moderated one. So yeah, that's my starting point. Wild salmon, that was my next thing that was on my notes. Wild salmon, did you know? In America, I think it was the early 1900s. I'm pulling all this off the top of my head, so if some of it's not factually perfect, then, well, get over it. Early 1900s, they started putting in dams in major rivers for hydroelectric. They then realised, oh shit, by doing that, you've just stopped the wild salmon being able to get back up river to their spawning grounds to spawn and make more salmon, which cost the industry millions because there now isn't any wild salmon to sell or sell fishing rights for or catch and sell commercially or whatever. So like, fuck, what can we do? So they put these fisheries in, hatcheries, at the bottom of the dams. So as the salmon would get to the dam, they basically just go out, club them over the head, catch the salmon, take them into the hatchery, milk them, so get the eggs and the sperm out of them, mix it, blah blah blah, fertilise it. The adult salmon, if they were any good and they were a good size, would then go for food. If they weren't, they were just kind of just chucked in a pile and that was it. And then once they hatched the fry, they would rear them onto a healthy sort of strong enough size and then put them back in the river to go back out to sea, come back in and rinse and repeat the process. But what they found, that, and this is, you'll see what I've done with this. What they found, that with these hatchery salmon, they weren't big enough and strong enough to get back to the hatchery again in following years. So gradually over the next however many years, they noticed they were getting less and less salmon getting back to the bottom of the dam for them to rinse and repeat their process. And they're scratching their heads trying to figure out what's going on, why. Like, in theory, they're putting far more salmon back in the river than ever were before, because now the success rates of the hatchery are way beyond what nature could provide, because they were creating perfect environments. There were no predators, nothing. So they were like, we're putting so many more salmon in, why are we getting so little back? We found that multiple things were happening. The river itself was unhealthier than it's ever been before, because the salmon they were taking out, the ones they were clubbing over the head and then not doing anything with, they were just kind of rotting in a pile outside the factory and then they'd dispose of it elsewhere. Well, they realised that nature needs to hunt some of these salmon out. So bears, eagles, whatever, need to catch these salmon, eat them, shit back in the river, let some of the fish rot back into the river. They're all nutrients that needed to get back into the river. The forest around it, where bears would eat the salmon and walk off and carry it inland a little bit, the nutrients would soak through the soil, eventually get back to the river, end up downstream, all the rest of it. So the river itself was unhealthier than it's ever been. It had less food available in it than it's ever had because of the lack of nutrients. So then the small sort of shrimp and little fry and all the rest of it that need the wash off the forest around it, those numbers were down. Because they were putting so many thousands more small fry salmon back into the river than used to be there, any food that was available, they were eating it in seconds, and then there's nothing left in the river. So the salmon that are going out to sea and looking to come back in and to do their spawning, they're just like, fuck going up that river, there's nothing. You know, I mean, you imagine being a salmon sat out at sea at the end of this river, the estuary, just being like, well, there's nothing coming out of that river, fuck if I'm going up it. It's not appealing. But they also found that the salmon that they reared in the hatchery weren't growing to a big enough size, which they couldn't figure out because, again, they had perfect conditions. Why weren't they growing properly? And this is where it gets interesting. So some of these, the most rugged, rough, rapids, violent rivers in America, right, where they have wild salmon spawning in, guess how big some of these salmon get to in the roughest rivers going? You got it. 100 pounds is the biggest, which is 50 kilos near enough. That's fucking massive. What does a Labrador weigh? I bet it's not 50 kilos. 50 kilo dogs. Right. Cane Corso, 45 to 50 kilos. Like, that's a big fucking dog. What dog weighs? Bloodhounds. Rottweilers. German Shepherds, 45 kilos. Yeah, you get the gist. So that's a big fucking fish swimming upstream. But they found that salmon in particular, depending on how much of a beasting they get when they're small fry and when they're juveniles, their body recognises that stress that's put on them. So when they go out to sea and they spend a couple of years out at sea growing, getting ready to come back and spawn, they grow according to the river that they were born in, and their body understands the demands that it needs. So for these hatchery fish that literally had a fucking piece of piss live, plopped back in the river and just drifted out to sea, they're the pissy little salmon. They're not growing to anything because they don't need to. So yeah, I found that quite an interesting... it's just interesting anyway. I'm not just making this up for like New Year, New Me, metaphorical be a salmon. This is science. But I did think, actually, it's quite a good little metaphor, isn't it? If you think, fucking hell, life's dishing me a load of shit left, right and centre here. Well, just think, well, fuck it, I'm going to be the biggest, baddest salmon you've ever fucking seen. So next time you get fired and your dog dies, you can just say, fuck you, I'm going to be a big-ass salmon one day. And you know that you will, because the more you get beasted, the bigger and badder a salmon you will become. God, fucking hell. That burnt. That went down the wrong way a little bit. What else was I going to talk about? Yeah, the milestone thing's an interesting one. I like it. I like having a little milestone. A new year, new me. It's quite a nice thing. However, my next little milestone is the big 3-0. So I've got about 12 and a half months until I'll be 30. So instead of new year, that's what I'm aiming for. 30. Which gives me another year and a bit of jiu-jitsu. Another year and a bit of trying to get fitter and stronger and healthier. Another year of doing the podcast. Another year to try and get a laptop sorted out so I can do a bit of YouTubey stuff. Another year to look into e-commerce. Which I've got plans on. I'm just trying to find my path with it a little bit. I don't want to just sell shitty Chinese phone chargers. I kind of want to sell something a bit more meaningful and create a brand that hopefully like-minded people like me and you can get behind a little bit, because I'm sure you've gathered from the podcast so far, I'm a little bit different to popularity. Pop culture would not be where you would categorise me, perhaps. I'm a little bit rogue, I'm a little bit different, a little bit... don't even know what you call me. I'm art, remember? You are art and I am art. So yeah. I can't see why I shouldn't be fucking close to getting my blue belt by the time I get to 30. That would be nice. I got design on getting a couple of kettlebells. Yes, that's right. Any Americans, you'll love that. Kettlebell. Bottle of water and kettlebell, because British people don't say a tease unless you're a posh prick. So yeah, I'm trying to do a bit of sort of resistance training, because the science is all there and we ought to do it. I just get bored. I need to figure out a way of making it a bit more fun. I've tried getting back into running. Like I say, I desperately do shit in December because I don't want to be a new year, new me person. So I tried getting into a bit of running, but I've got this... well, I've looked it up. I think it's iliotibial band syndrome, I think. Seems to sum it up pretty well. Basically, there's like a tendon that runs down the outside of your thigh, from your hip, round the outside of your knee and swings in under your kneecap. And it seems that it's very common in people that haven't really done as much exercise and then suddenly start trying to pick it up again, where you will get pain in either the knee or the hip or both. And it's where that tendon is a bit tight, and when you start running it rubs across either the hip or the knee and then causes inflammation and a lot of pain. So I've been working on that. I've been trying to do a whole load of stretches and prehab type stuff to try and just get it to fuck off, because it's doing my head in now. Because I tried going for a 5k the other night. I thought, 5k will be alright, I'll be able to do that. And I didn't even get halfway, and then my knee was just up in flames and I ended up having to walk. I couldn't run on it at all. It's weird because it's fine walking. Like, I can walk as fast as possible and it still doesn't hurt. But as soon as I start like loading it like I want to run, it just fucking lights up. It's a pain in the ass. So that's my plan. Get that sorted. Get on with some running. I kind of want to target, well, fitness in general this year. I'm kind of planning on being fairly well rounded is my approach. I want to do some work on VO2 max because I've learnt a lot about the science behind that lately. So anybody that doesn't know what I'm on about, VO2 max, volume of oxygen in the lungs, maximum capacity sort of thing. So how much in one deep breath of lungage, how much oxygen do you get in a lungful? And the more the merrier, basically. But without exercising, you're probably not that great. But they found there's a massive link between that and a whole load of health stuff for when you're old. So I kind of want to improve that. So I need to do the old Cooper 12-minute run like I did in school, figure out what my current VO2 max is, and then work on it, basically improve it, which I personally can't really get too excited about because it doesn't apply to me now, it applies to me when I'm old. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell myself, and I'll forget that I ever thought about this, I'm going to tell myself it's so that I've got more gas in the tank when I'm doing jiu-jitsu and don't get puffed out. So when it's like a real high-paced run or high-paced roll, that's where VO2 max will save the day, because it'll be like, fuck me, this guy's got some lungs. That's my plan, so I can be a beast on the mats. So that's why I'm going to work on VO2 max. I then want to work on endurance, so I'd like to be able to run... I'd like to do a few half marathons this year. Not official ones, just on my own. I can't be doing people. I don't like people. I don't want a t-shirt. I don't want anything. I just want to be left alone. So I'd like to try and get 3 or 4 in this year, perhaps. I think this knee is going to be a pain in the ass, so it's probably going to take me the first quarter to be able to get my body to tolerate that duration of exercise. When I tried it before, I actually found that I struggled like fuck to start with. My lungs and my legs just didn't wake up the last time I tried it. When I did one back at the beginning of December, I just couldn't do it. The first 5k I basically ended up walking. I kept getting stitched. I couldn't work through it. Just fucked. Once I found my rhythm, I then had a good like 10, nearly 15k where actually it was alright. And then my knee gave out. Well, my hip went, then my knee went, then my opposite ankle went, and I was fucked then. It all went to shit. So I've got a lot of like prehab type stuff to do. Just getting tendons and joints and ligaments and all that sort of shit to just cooperate. Because I think I've got it mentally, and I think I've got it cardio wise to do a half marathon. It's literally just getting the body to work. But yeah, I think first quarter to get this knee sorted out, if I take it seriously and try to get prehab dealt with, I think I can do that. Try and bosh out some decent runs. I'd like to get I'd like to do a 25-minute 5k. I've never come close. I've done a half-hour 5k before. I've not done a lot of running. I've done a half-hour 5k. I'd like to do a 25. And then I kind of, me being me, I sort of think, how hard could it be to do a 20-minute 5k? And I literally, any runners out there that are thinking, you fucking prick, do you think you could do that? I literally have no idea. I'm aware this podcast has been going 21 minutes. So the idea that I could have run a 5k in the time I've been talking seems pretty extreme. But me being me, I kind of think, I'm sure it can't be that bad. That's kind of what I'd like to do. 20-minute 5k by the end of the year. 25-minute 5k mid to second, third of the year. Yeah. 3 or 4 half marathons. I just want to be a range. I want a fairly moderate range. I don't want to be the best at anything. I just want to be able to do a decent pace on a short distance and also have the stamina and the longevity to be able to do a longer distance run. Similarly with strength and conditioning or resistance training, I want moderate strength but work on the areas that I'm weak in. So my shoulders are weak as shit. When it comes to overhead press, I've got nothing. Squats, I'm not too bad. Press ups, I can't fucked if I can do press ups. So I need to work on them. Like bench, obviously, then is shit because I can't do press ups. And just improve mobility, really. So that's where like overhead squats, clean and jerk, snatch, all that sort of shit. That's all going to be beneficial to strength, but also mobility and range of motion, which to me, the science of it is all exciting. The action of actually doing the workout, I get really bored, but it will benefit my jiu-jitsu, which that's the thing that I want to get better at. So that's my plan. If I can convince myself it's all for the greater good of jiu-jitsu, then I'm hoping I'll stick with it and it will be a success, and I'll be sat here in 12.5 months time saying, I've fucking done it, I'm Shreddy Krueger, mate, I'm ripped, I'm a blue belt, I'm a dangerous motherfucker. But in reality it might not happen. But this is another thing I wanted to mention. I'm rambling a little bit. Don't fall into the guilty trap of seeing that everyone smashed their goals for this year and next year's goals they're high, but they know they're going to do it and they'll never fail and all of that shit. It's bollocks. Don't worry about it. Like, I told you my goals from last year for this year, and well, I got a couple of them right and I got a couple of them wrong. Things change. I never planned on doing any jiu-jitsu. That was just like, I'll give it a go. I didn't realise how much I'd enjoy it. Well, I'm sure if I took all the hours that I've put towards jiu-jitsu and put them into one of the things I fell short on, I probably would have been half successful in that thing. But actually I found something that has benefited my life probably way more than just earning a bit of extra money has. Alright, money buys shit and solves things and pays bills, but doesn't necessarily make you any happier unless you're spending your money on something that makes you happy, but I'd say jiu-jitsu was a pretty good move for the last 12 months. It's a shame I haven't made it in at all over Christmas, so I've had nearly 2 weeks now of no training, which is a bit of a bugger, but back in tomorrow. No, yesterday, because you're hearing this on Wednesday. I'm back in yesterday. Oh, it's good to be back. But yeah, set yourself some goals, set yourself some little targets. Don't be too harsh. Put some crazy ones on there that seem far-fetched. Put some on there that are a bit more modest and a bit more realistic. Go after it, see what happens. Be open-minded to change along the way. Have a go at cold water exposure and swimming and whatever else. If you want to tag along, just fire me a message and I'll sort something out. I found a lovely spot on Dartmoor the other day, so anybody wants to go to Dartmoor, send me a message. We'll sort something out. Sam, I know you messaged me. I'm sorry, mate, we didn't do it. I'll get out there sometime. Yeah. The rest of you, just stay classy, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there because you understand what I'm getting at. Be a big salmon. Set some goals. Smash some goals. Fuck it up completely on some others. Don't really worry about it. Don't take life too seriously. Get in the cold water, buy yourself some budgies and go and do some jiu-jitsu. I'm going to drink me whiskey and, well, basically listen straight back to this to make sure I didn't sound like a weirdo. So if you hear this, I was obviously happy enough that I thought, fuck it, I'll let it go out. Anyway, that's 27 minutes. Thanks for listening. I don't know what the next one will be. Sorry it got loud. Peace.